Welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something really exciting. We are embarking on a massive, sweeping historical biography. But, we aren't talking about the story of just one person here. We are actually tracing the living, breathing, and just remarkably complex history of this continent's first sovereigns, the tribal nations of North America. We've got an incredible journey ahead, going straight from deep time all the way up to some truly monumental modern legal triumphs. So let's get into it.
Right off the bat, to truly grasp this history, we have to completely shatter a myth I'm sure we've all heard. For literally centuries, the popular story was that North America was this vast, untouched, empty wilderness, maybe lightly populated by wandering peoples. But the reality? No way. We're looking at a continent fundamentally shaped by highly managed, sophisticated societies. These people were incredibly advanced urban planners. We are talking massive infrastructure, sprawling agricultural networks, and deeply rooted political systems. It was like a giant puzzle of complex civilization.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the roadmap for our explainer today. 1. The birth of urban democracies. 2. Treaties and the contact shock. 3. The era of cultural erasure. And 4. Modern Renaissance and sovereignty.
Part 1. The birth of urban democracies.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer, mind-blowing scale of the pre-contact era. Take a look at Cahokia. This was an ancient city located right near modern-day St. Louis, and it was a meticulously planned urban center. To put this into perspective, at its absolute peak, Cahokia's population was actually greater than that of contemporary London. While London was growing over in the Middle Ages, North America boasted these massive earthen mounds, complex plazas, and thousands of residents living highly organized urban lives. It just completely rewrites that whole wilderness narrative, doesn't it?
And, this wasn't just physical infrastructure we're talking about. It was highly advanced political infrastructure. Have you heard of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy? Also known as the Iroquois? They developed an incredibly complex multi-nation political alliance. And they governed this through democratic representation, actual checks and balances, and a highly sophisticated constitution-like framework. Seriously, long before 1492, these were sovereign entities operating with top-tier diplomacy.
Section 2. Treaties and the contact shock.
When European powers, and later the early United States arrived on the scene, it obviously triggered a profound structural clash. So the crucial point is how this was actually managed legally. You see, treaties are often mistakenly viewed as just these simple land concessions, right? Like surrenders. But in reality, a treaty is an explicit exercise of inherent tribal sovereignty. Think about it. By engaging in these agreements, the United States was actually participating in nation-to-nation diplomacy. These documents are the foundational supreme law of the land, legally recognizing tribal independence.
But of course, despite that legal recognition on paper, the reality on the ground was absolutely devastating. First came this catastrophic demographic collapse due to Old World diseases. And these diseases actually decimated populations before many tribes even had direct interaction with colonizers. It spread like wildfire. Then came explicit federal policy, specifically the Indian Removal Act of 1830. This directly resulted in brutal state-sanctioned displacement, most infamously known as the Trail of Tears. We are looking at a structural, highly systematic uprooting of sovereign peoples right off their ancestral, expertly managed lands.
Section 3. The era of cultural erasure. As we move into the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the federal government really shifted its approach. They moved away from outright physical warfare and pivoted towards something else: systematic, institutional cultural erasure. Kill the Indian, save the man. That was the literal, actual guiding philosophy behind federal boarding schools. It's chilling. Children were forcibly taken from their families, forbidden from speaking their native languages, and systematically stripped of their cultural identities. The whole goal was to basically erase tribal existence from the very next generation. And this brilliantly illustrates how they pushed that erasure even further through specific legal mechanisms. Take the General Allotment Act of 1887. This was designed to break the economic foundations of the tribes. By dismantling communal land ownership, which was how things had been done for centuries, and forcing individual plots, this act successfully stripped literally millions of acres away from tribal nations, opening it all up to non-native settlement. It was a highly calculated maneuver to completely shatter tribal sovereignty by breaking up their land base. Finally, Section 4. Modern Renaissance and sovereignty.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the story of the first sovereigns definitely does not end in erasure. Actually, it's defined by unbelievable resilience. The fight for rights gained massive visibility in the 20th century. Think of the Red Power movement's fierce demands for self-determination. And that momentum, It carried directly into the 21st century, with historic, game-changing Supreme Court decisions like McGirt v. Oklahoma. That ruling reaffirmed that a huge portion of eastern Oklahoma actually remains unceded tribal territory. It validates those original treaties and proves that tribal sovereignty is still fully intact today.
And this renaissance, it's happening culturally and scientifically right now. Today, tribal nations are leading aggressive, really inspiring modern language revitalization efforts. Plus, they're actively integrating traditional ecological knowledge, that deep pre-contact understanding of complex land management, right along with modern climate science. They are literally bringing ancient, highly sustainable urban practices to the forefront of our most pressing environmental problems today. It's an incredible full-circle moment. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Given their incredible history of complex urban planning, their absolute resilience through unimaginable shock, and their deep traditional ecological knowledge, I'll leave you with this question. Could looking back at the first sovereigns actually hold the key to our shared environmental future? I mean, tribal sovereignty isn't just a matter of ancient history, right? It's a vibrant, living reality that is actively shaping the world we live in right now. Thank you so much for joining me today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.